Hey everyone, welcome back to the Rising Parent Podcast. I'm your host, Tim.
And I'm Edna, ready to dive into another topic that's probably got every parent nodding along in agreement.
Exactly, Edna. Today we're tackling something that's been buzzing in parenting circles, the shift from gentle parenting towards a focus on boundaries, but with a crucial ingredient, empathy. We're asking the question, is no making a comeback? And if so, how do we wield it effectively? Are we done being gentle, or is this a progression in modern parenting?
Oh, Tim, I feel like the pendulum is constantly swinging. One minute, we're all about validating every feeling. The next, we're wondering if our kids are running the house. I'm excited to unpack this.
Me too. So buckle up, parents, because we're about to explore the return of no and how to use it with love and understanding. All right, let's get right into it. We're talking about boundaries with empathy, replacing gentle parenting. For years, gentle parenting has been a prominent approach, emphasizing understanding children's emotions and avoiding harsh punishments. But lately, I've been seeing more and more parents saying it simply isn't enough. What's your take on this, Edna?
Honestly, Tim, I get it. Gentle parenting sounds beautiful in theory, and the intention behind it is fantastic, building a strong, connected relationship with your child. Many of my clients have tried it, and to some extent, it was very useful, but sometimes they felt like they were bending over backward to avoid saying no, and then they would end up exploding in frustration later. It was exhausting for them.
That's a feeling I think a lot of parents can relate to. The core of gentle parenting lies in understanding the why behind a child's behavior. If they're acting out, it's often seen as a sign of an unmet need or an overwhelming emotion. The response is usually to meet that need or validate that emotion.
Which is great in principle. But what happens when that unmet need is, I want to stay up until midnight playing video games? Validating that emotion doesn't magically make it okay. That's where boundaries come in, right?
Exactly. Boundaries with empathy acknowledge the child's feelings while still setting clear limits. It's about saying, I understand you're upset that you can't stay up late, and I know it's disappointing. It's okay to feel sad. And bedtime is at 8:30 because your body needs rest.
So it's not about invalidating their feelings, but also not letting those feelings dictate the rules of the house. Makes sense. It's like saying, I see your frustration, but the rule still stands.
Precisely. A key difference is that boundaries with empathy, unlike gentle parenting, gives parents grace to act as authority figures. In gentle parenting, there's the underlying assumption that you should never force a child to do something or punish them, but boundaries with empathy gives a little more room for the parent.
And that's what I mean about the pendulum swinging. Maybe we were all getting a little too worried about scarring our kids for life by enforcing bedtime.
Right. And this is where the return of no comes in. It's not about going back to strict authoritarian parenting. It's about reclaiming the power of setting limits, but doing it in a way that is still respectful and understanding.
So no isn't a dirty word anymore? It can actually be a loving and protective word?
Absolutely. Think about it. Children actually crave boundaries. They might push against them, but boundaries create a sense of security and predictability. When kids know what to expect, they feel safer and more secure.
That's a good point. If there are no boundaries, it's like sailing a ship without a rudder. The kid feels like they are in charge, but they are too young for that and feel unsafe. Speaking of safety, can you give an example of how empathy can be used with boundaries?
Sure. Let's say a child wants to run across a busy street. A gentle parenting approach might involve trying to understand why the child wants to run across the street. Maybe they're excited about something on the other side. Boundaries with empathy would involve saying, I know you're excited to get to the park and it's hard to wait. I understand that. But we can't run across the street because it's not safe. Cars could hit you and I want to keep you safe. We have to hold hands and walk together.
So you're acknowledging the excitement, but also clearly stating the limit and the reason behind it. It's not just a blanket no, but an explained and empathetic no.
Exactly. The empathy piece is crucial. It's about validating their feelings, letting them know they're heard, and helping them understand why the boundary is in place. This also builds trust.
So, how do parents actually implement this boundaries with empathy approach in their daily lives?
Good question. First, it starts with identifying your core values as a family. What's truly important to you? What behaviors are non-negotiable?
So, not sweating the small stuff? Like maybe you can let the mismatched socks slide, but screen time limits are a hill you're willing to die on.
Precisely. Once you've identified those core values, you can start setting boundaries around them. And when you enforce those boundaries, remember the empathy piece.
Easier said than done when you're dealing with a screaming toddler throwing themselves on the floor.
True, but even in those moments, you can still acknowledge their feelings. You might say, "I see you're really upset that we have to leave the playground. It's okay to be sad. We will be back soon." And then stick to your boundary. It's time to go.
So it's also about consistency, right? Saying what you mean and meaning what you say.
Absolutely. Consistency is key. If you give in sometimes and not others, you're just confusing your child and making it harder for them to understand the boundaries.
Okay, so core values, clear boundaries, empathy, consistency. What else?
Another important element is teaching children about their emotions. Help them identify and name their feelings. The more they understand their emotions, the better they can manage them.
That makes sense. If they can say, I'm feeling frustrated, they're less likely to just lash out.
Exactly. And you can also teach them healthy coping mechanisms. What can they do when they're feeling angry or sad? Maybe they can draw, listen to music, or talk to you.
Okay, so it's not just about setting boundaries. It's also about equipping them with the tools to navigate those boundaries and their own emotions.
Right. And finally, remember that this is a journey, not a destination. You're not going to get it right all the time. There will be moments when you lose your cool or say the wrong thing. The important thing is to learn from those moments and keep trying.
That's reassuring because I know many parents definitely don't get it right all the time.
None of us do, Edna, and that's okay.
So what about parents who feel like they've already swung too far in one direction, either too lenient or too strict? Is it possible to course correct?
Definitely. It takes time and effort, but it's absolutely possible. If you've been too lenient, start by gradually introducing boundaries. Don't try to change everything overnight.
So baby steps, pick one or two areas to focus on first?
Exactly. And if you've been too strict, try to incorporate more empathy into your responses. Listen to your child's perspective, validate their feelings, and explain the reasons behind your rules.
It's about finding that balance, that sweet spot between firmness and compassion.
Precisely. And remember, it's okay to ask for help. Talk to other parents, read books, or consider seeking professional guidance from a therapist or parenting coach.
Great advice, Tim.
All right, let's sum up some key takeaways from our conversation.
First, boundaries with empathy are a good balance between gentle parenting and more traditional parenting styles.
Exactly. It's about setting clear limits while still acknowledging and validating your child's feelings.
Second, children thrive on boundaries. They provide security, predictability, and a sense of safety.
Absolutely. Boundaries are not about control, they're about care.
Third, consistency is key. Say what you mean what you say, and stick to your boundaries.
Fourth, teach your children about their emotions. Help them identify and manage their feelings in healthy ways.
And finally, remember that this is a journey. Be patient with yourself and your child, and don't be afraid to ask for help.
Excellent summary, Edna. And that brings us to the end of another episode of the Rising Parent Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today.
We hope you found this conversation helpful and that you're feeling inspired to explore the return of no in your own parenting journey.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the Rising Parent Podcast on your favorite podcast app. And don't forget to leave us a review. It helps other parents find our show.
And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes, feel free to reach out to us in the comments. We're always happy to hear from you.
Until next time, happy parenting.
Bye, everyone.